My name's Paul Newman, owner and chef of Thyme at Errichel. We have a bistro, which we just opened quite recently, and a farm deli shop next door. And well, I've got a nice pork dish for you. We breed our own rare breed large black pigs, still on the endangered list, but they're striving very well these days. And I think there's quite a few farmers now that are breeding as well. So we have ingredients list. So here I've already got the pork fillet. These are pigs that we took to slaughter last month. This has been marinated already in some little bit of chili, thyme, rosemary, some rose petals, and a little bit of sesame, just to give it some flavor. And then it will sit in the fridge for 24 hours. And then what we're going to be serving with this today, we've got tabbouleh salad, new season rhubarb, which grows in the garden here quite wildly. We don't farm it at all or anything like that. It just grows wild, so we pick and use when we want to. Towards the end of the season, we'll pick as much as we can. We'll bag it, freeze it, and then we've got it ready for jams and chutneys and that later in the year. We've got a selection of wild mushrooms. These aren't foraged, sadly, but a local biodynamic farm just down the road, we buy them from them, as is the chard in different colors, the herbs, and tender stem broccoli. So they're more or less all the ingredients that we're going to use in the pork dish today. Okay. So as I said earlier, we've marinated the pork. And because we're going to cook it in this pan here, I use this for all of my cooking demonstrations. Best thing I ever bought in my life. So with these, I'm just going to slip them down the center, just to open them up a little bit. And this will help cook at an even pace right the way through. So I don't know if we need to use all of these. Okay. In here, we don't use any oil because there's enough fat. There's a little bit of fat on the pork fillets themselves. And in this pan here being non-stick, you don't really need to have a lot of fat oils and that in it as well. So all we're going to do is pop them in there to seal them off. And what we're looking from these is to get a nice golden brown colour either side. So we're going to put a little bit of seasoning on. Use a bit of rock salt. Some cracked black pepper. I'm just going to let them seal a little bit more. Just get another chopping board quickly. So here we turn them over now. You can see the colour coming through. Just there, you can see a nice bit of colour coming through, and that's what we're looking for. So caramelizes a little bit and then gives more flavour to the other ingredients that we put into the pan. So with the rhubarb, now this has just been cut into 1-inch pieces. So the rhubarb in stems, we take top and tail them, and we can use the ends for making a stock, or we can use them for making jams. So we use as much as we can from those as well. So basically we're just cutting them, because these ones are thinner, we cut them slightly longer. Okay, and then in theory, they should all cook at the same time. So I'm going to pop these to the end, to the side, just to cook there. And then what I've got here is what I mentioned earlier with the ends of the rhubarbs. I've made a stock syrup. Okay, so this is just, we've got a bit of rose petal in it, the rhubarb stems and a little bit of sugar, and then we just reduce it down. I'm just going to put a bit of pan in the pan here. The mushrooms, instead of cutting these, I'm just going to tear them to nice pieces. Got some other types of mushrooms here as well. Put some of that in there now, just to cook slowly on the side. You shouldn't really need any sugar with this rhubarb. It's, I think many years ago, people used to just have a stick of rhubarb and stick it in the sugar and eat it that way. And this rhubarb is just like that. So these are colouring up very nicely now, and you can see their own juices coming out as well. That'll all add to the flavour at the end of the dish. A little bit more stock. I tend not to use any flours and butters and oils. I try and keep as minimal as I can. So with this, okay, we'll have a few of these as well. Now you can use as many different types of mushrooms as you can. Foraging, I think if you're foraging for mushrooms, you really need to know what type of mushrooms you're picking. We don't really want to be picking any of the unsavoury ones. So I'm going to pop that on top of the rhubarb. Now these will steam a little bit as well as getting the flavour from underneath, and that's what we're looking for. A little bit more stock. You can keep adding the stock, and as you add it, it will reduce down and go thicker, and then you'll get a richer flavour from it. Okay. If you put too much in at the beginning, then everything will be overcooked by the time it's reduced. We just pop the lid on for a few minutes, just to let it cook a little bit. Now with a tender stem broccoli, I've trimmed some of these already. The stalks were very, very long on these, so I've trimmed them down. Now the stalks that are left, you can use for sauces or soup if you save them up for soups. So these ones are already trimmed quite nicely. Again, trying to keep the same size. And then what we'll do is pop them onto the other side of the pan, and they will steam with the lid back on. So you don't need to do pre-boiling or pre-blanching. You can do everything in one pan. Works very well. We've got the chard. Now this is grown locally in Polytunnel in a little place called Weem, just down the road from us. They are this year growing wheat, so they're looking to make their own flour. So they're very, very much trying a new project with growing wheat in these fields around here. It'll be quite interesting to see what they come up with, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So here we've got the three different colours. This beautiful yellow and the purple, and then just the natural plain one. So we're going to use a little bit of each. Okay. You put those bits. So how we getting on in here? You can see it slowly cooking away nicely. The tender stem broccoli really only takes 3 or 4 minutes in the pan. The pork will still be cooking away a little bit there. We don't want to overcook the pork, but also we need to make sure that it's thoroughly cooked through. Okay, it's all looking very nice. So what I'm going to do is pop that on the top. Now we just want gentle cooking of the chard, otherwise you lose all the colour and the textures from it as well. So again, just a little bit of seasoning. Then I'm going to pop the lid back on, just so it steams nicely inside. Now that tabbouleh salad, you can either serve warm, it's wheat based. Now this has pomegranates, plenty of mint from the garden, tomatoes, cucumbers, and salt, pepper. A lot of lemon juice and some lime. We will do up a recipe card at some point, so you can probably get that online later. Now you can warm this up as well, but for me I think it's a much nicer dish and a lot fresher dish if you have it cold. So with this, our serving dish, I'm going to pop that in the center. Just to arrange it nicely there. Now, I'm sure everybody knows what a pomegranate looks like. If not, this is what it is. They're extremely juicy, extremely messy to work with, but taste amazing. So I don't think we can get too angry with them. It's a nice fruit. So we're just going to tap. Now you can use the back of a spoon, back of a knife. Just keep tapping away and you'll get the pomegranate seeds just how you want them. Okay. Just pop that on the side. Now here again, the fresh herbs that I said that we got from our biodynamic farm just down the road. These are garlic chives, make a nice little garnish on top. So here I think we should be ready. So we pop that out of the way. There we go. So you can see the chard here, just nicely cooked, but also it's kept all its colour, which is what we're looking for. So you can place that on the top. I always like the stalk sticking out the back so you can see the colour of it as well. And we've got a mushroom and a rhubarb. It's quite a strange combination, but they do go very well together. The tender stem broccoli. Okay. Oh, it smells good enough to eat. And then with the pork fillet, the rest is on the top. They'll be nicely cooked now. Hope everybody's hungry. And then really just to finish off, we've got some fresh rosemary, thyme, as in my restaurant called Thyme. This grows wild as well on the farm, so we're quite lucky. So that works out very nice for us. And then just a little bit of, just for garnish, some herbs on the side. Okay. Now if you really wanted to give it a little bit more colour on the top, then again, just I think that's what we have here. Purple, the yellow chard, tender stem broccoli, some nice rhubarb on the top, and the mushrooms spread underneath.